What is up, friend and fellow anti-netter? It is a 10:39 a.m. on a Monday, and I am, of course, driving to the office. And I had a nice little jog this morning. A jog is basically a jog and a walk mixed together. I'd say it was about a good 80%, somewhere between. I'll be honest, somewhere between 80% and 50% of jogging. Anyway, I was thinking on my jog this morning through the beautiful white dusty hills and the green of Southern California trails. I was thinking about, what to do today and my priorities today. You see, yesterday I went into the office on a Sunday and I knocked out and finished and finalized issue number 8 of the Scott Scheper letter. And I went in on a Sunday because my lovely Earth Angel entrepreneurial goddess of a girlfriend actually has taken on like a fun stylist type of retail job on the weekends lately. And it's been freaking awesome. Like, this has been the first relationship I've been in where I've got someone that is entrepreneurial and even actually enjoys working. And so she's taken on this gig. And look, she's already crushing it, like as a producer and, with her own blog as well, her own essentially fashion blog. And then she's also taken on this other weekend gig. And anyway, we spent pretty much every other minute of the weekend together. But on Sunday, wow, look at that. There's like a fire truck. And of course, yes, sir, you have the right of way. You're probably not solving that big of an emergency, but whatever, go ahead. And no, sir, you know what? It's funny. It's like people all of a sudden begin missing a chromosome every time like an ambulance or like a fire truck comes around. I was just at a stop sign and, it was clearly my turn to go straight, yet this this pedantic fool tries to cut me off, and I just decided to plaid mode and speed past him. Anyway, so what I was getting at is that, I had a day yesterday where I felt like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna, instead of just like chilling by the pool and reading and, with a bib card sticking out of the book, of course, my anti-netters know why, which is what I did on a Saturday by the pool. I decided to go into the office and finish up writing issue number 8 of the Scott Scheper letter by hand. And it was awesome. It reminded me that, like, if you really want to get into full writing mode and really, really do your best work, I swear to God, like, you cannot have, like, and I'm kind of guilty of doing this lately, even today, you should not have one appointment or one meeting booked. And I'm kind of getting in the flow right now of kind of screwing myself by setting up like all these meetings on Zoom, which I talk about in issue number 8. And I talk about setting up something called VLC calls, which follows the VLC framework, which is an absolute game changer for staying plugged in to reality and really helping your audience, helping your people. But the only problem is when you're in writing mode, like, it's best not to even schedule one call a day. And so what I'm going to be doing today and this week is I'm going to be kind of re-engineering my calendar. I've got a few recurring calls, and I just hate recurring calls. I just freaking hate them, recurring weekly calls. So I'm going to see what I can do to eliminate those and change that up. Because I feel like when you have recurring calls, like, scheduled, it's almost like you've kind of like enslaved yourself. I like to jump on calls when, like, I do think calls on a weekly basis are good with teammates, but I don't think you should even, I think you should be like, yeah, let's hop on a weekly call, but let's not schedule it. Let's like hop on, and that way it makes each week a little bit more flexible. So yeah, that's what I want to share with you today. Now, what I have structured and I have started to do is, I start writing every issue of the Scott Shepherd Letter about between the 10th to the 15th of every month, and, start writing it by hand, which means I know that usually the last week of the month, which is usually people would think is the most stressful as you're hitting a deadline. Usually I'm done at least a week before the deadline of each month, and which is nice. I'm also usually free the first week of every month, right? And so what I've decided to do is schedule VLC calls, which for every new member of the Scott Shepherd Letter that signs up. And you'll learn what a VLC call is if you read issue number 8 of the Scott Shepherd Letter. It is the foundation, getting the VLC of each one of your tribe members and each one of your people, every person on your email list, whatever, is integral for actually focusing on and prioritizing your efforts, your intellectual efforts, your creative efforts, every effort of your life, your writing efforts, everything. It all centers around and revolves around being in touch with reality, being in touch with your audience. And the way to do that is through running what I call VLC calls, which is being taught in issue number 8 of the Scott Shepherd Letter. Now, why should you care about running VLC calls? Well, here's why. Here's a clear example. You see, last Friday, I found myself very frustrated while on my jog and running. I was frustrated because the previous day, there was not one book sale of the Antoinette Zettelkasten that came in. And I also had just started doing paid advertising. So I was annoyed because I wanted to essentially scale this thing and have this thing grow on autopilot. And it just wasn't working. And the reason is because the paid ads weren't working. And what I decided to do was I was frustrated, and I was you know what? Damn it. There's all these people on my email list that I really haven't pushed the Antoinette Zettelkasten book hard. Meaning I haven't promoted it that heavily. I constantly promote the Scott Shepherd Letter. And what I decided to do is I literally had only 59 copies left of the Antoinette Zettelkasten book before I had to, do another big print run, big investment in another print run. And, I wasn't sure when or if, or maybe I wanted to wait and just do a slight upgrade and do a second edition. So what I decided to do was on Friday, I'm you know what? I'm gonna figure out how to make $1,000 today. And what I decided to do was I decided to craft an email and say, hey, there's only 59 copies of my Antoinette Zettelkasten book out. And I also said, regardless, I'm going to be taking the book down on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So you can't even purchase it, which I did. It happened automatically last night. And I sent out one email on Friday. And then later in the day, I sent out another email. And the first email said, hey, there's only 59 copies left. The second email said, there's only I don't even know what it was, 29 copies left. And then yesterday on Sunday, I got reminded. I'm oh, I probably should send out another email for people that missed the first two. So I sent out one other email yesterday. And anyway, I don't have I haven't pulled down the stats completely yet. Maybe I can check here on my phone, but I don't even bring my computer or check my computer on the weekend. So I haven't really actually even checked, but I think so. Yesterday I made $2,900, and the day before it was, let me see if I can pull that up. The day before it was $597, and the day before was $1,700. So this weekend, you can do the math. I made $1,700 plus $600 plus $2,900. Okay, let me just do the math right now. 1,700 plus 600 plus 2,900. So that's $5,200 that I made this weekend. How? Well, on the walk, I decided, and I left out some of the details, like what happens after the user purchased the book, which is an awesome surprise, an awesome thing that I did, which I, of course, will be teaching throughout in other places, okay? And that's like the tactics, but the overall arching strategy of really what enabled me to actually make $5,200 this weekend, just like literally the idea came to me like on a walk/jog on Friday. And I think I sent the first email out like around 12 p.m. How I did all this, how I made $5,200 this weekend just with one decision, was because I was plugged into something that someone said to me. And it came about by, following essentially the VLC framework of knowing exactly what my customers want. And so that's how it came to be. That's how I made $5,200 essentially over the weekend, is because I followed what I'm going to be teaching in issue number 8 of the Scott Shepherd letter, the VLC framework. So if you're a subscriber, get ready for it. Get excited. It's going to be another great issue. Hope this helped. Hope this gave you some ideas. And always remember to stay crispy, my friend. Peace.